Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Let's look at why you've got multiple application folders on your Mac. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 1,000 supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you could read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So this is a common question that I hear. Why are there multiple application folders? There's the main applications folder, which seems to hold all of your apps. But there's also a separate applications folder in your home folder, and those apps that are in the main applications folder, some of them aren't really there. They're in another applications folder. Let's take a look at all of these and learn what they're used for. So in the Finder, if you use the Go menu and go to Applications, then you'll get to your main applications folder. I'm going to command click up here and you can see that this is at the top level of the drive. There's my hard drive. There's a folder named Applications. In fact, if I do Go and then to Computer and then go to my hard drive, there's the Applications folder and I'm here at the same place. And this seems to hold all of my applications. And indeed for most Mac users, every app that you have will be in this one applications folder, and it's the only one you need to really know about. But you may have already noticed a second applications folder. I'm going to create a new Finder window here and I'm going to go to my home folder. So my home folder is my user account folder. And it has folders in it like movies, music, pictures, and so on. If you're not using iCloud Drive, Desktop and Documents will be in here as well. But another folder you may or may not see in here is Applications. This Applications folder is usually empty. And in fact, you may not find this at all. You may have deleted it at some point in the past, and since it's not being used by anything, deleting it is fine. Now the Home folder Applications folder is different from the Main Applications folder in that the Main Applications folder is for all users on your Mac. So say you and your spouse both have user accounts on your Mac. Or say you're like me and you've got one for work, one for other purposes. Each of those accounts will have its own Applications folder in its own Home folder. Any application installed in there will only be available when you're logged in as that user. Any application in the Main Applications folder at the top level will be available to all users on the Mac. This is handy because you can purchase an app, say in the App Store, install it for you, and then your spouse or whoever else has an account on your Mac can use that app as well. However, sometimes you may want to install an app just for one user. When installing a third-party app, sometimes you're asked whether or not you want the app installed for all users on the Mac or just the current user. If you select just the current user in that case, this Home Applications folder is exactly where the app would go and it would only be available to that user. But you could also move applications here if you like. If I wanted to move an application and make it only available for one user, I could select that app. Like for instance, let's use this app from the App Store, and I could move it to this Applications folder. Now notice how the cursor changes to a little curved arrow there. That means it's going to create a link to the app, not move the app itself. That's not what I want here. So I'm going to hold down the Command key. And then I'm going to be prompted because this isn't something that should be done lightly. And then the application moves. Now Compressor can only be used by this one user. Another user on this Mac wouldn't even see that the app's installed and couldn't use it. And you could bring this back to the system level by dragging it back here and dropping it in. And now I've moved it back there. Although if a third-party app has the option to install for system or for user, you should use that instead. Dragging and dropping may not work for those apps because there may be other components involved. Now there's a third Applications folder and you may never actually even see it unless you look closely. Let's go and take a look here at an app that was installed by the App Store. And if I do Command I for Get Info, you can see its location is Macintosh hard drive Applications. That's exactly where it is. But what happens if I select this app? This app is one that's part of macOS. It comes when you install macOS and you can't uninstall it. If I get info on that one, the location is my hard drive System Applications. But this is hard drive Applications. So it's showing a different location under Where in Info than what we're actually seeing here. Now if we go up to the computer level again and then we go into the hard drive, there's that Applications folder we were just looking at, and we look in System, we can see that there's an Applications folder in there as well. A third Applications folder. And in this one, you're going to find just the apps that are part of macOS. So you've got apps here you can't uninstall and they don't update through the App Store. You update them by updating macOS. So these are things like the Photos app, Music, Text Edit, Stickies, Contacts, Clock, anything that's built into the operating system. Most of these actually tie into the operating system in some way, although not all of them. For instance, the Chess app, how does that really tie in except as the prime example of using Game Center? But all of these apps are actually located here inside the System folder. Since macOS Catalina, the System folder is protected. It's read-only. The only time things in there change is when you do a system update. This is a security feature. And these applications, since they're under System, are part of that read-only section of your drive. Now, back up at the top level in the Applications folder, you're going to see these apps there. That's done through a little Finder magic. The Finder has some special code in it to say, hey, in the Applications folder, show what's in the Applications folder. Also show what's in the System Applications folder. You don't have two copies of these apps. The actual location is in the System Applications folder. But they're just shown here so you don't have to look in two separate places. And realistically, you never have to look in the System Applications folder at all. Just look in the Applications folder to find any app that you need. Or better yet, use the Dock or Launchpad or Spotlight to launch an app. Now there is actually a fourth Applications folder. That's even harder to find. You'll find that at the top level in System and then the Library folder in System, which is different than the Library folder at the top level. And then in there's a folder called Core Services. And in Core Services there's an Applications folder. Matter of fact, Core Services itself holds a lot of applications. These are small services and other things that you may use while you're using macOS. For instance, here's Archive Utility and that will launch automatically, say if you double click a zip file. Here's About This Mac. You don't launch that normally as a regular app, but you go to the Apple menu and choose About This Mac. And of course if you have multiple users, each user has their own Applications folder in their own home folder. But the main one, and really the only one that most Mac users need to deal with, is your main Applications folder. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.